Welcome to Module 5, where we deal with writing style and brand voice. So to build useful marketing materials, you've got to speak in a way that people want to hear. And remember, AI by itself sounds like a machine because, well, it is a machine. The goal for this module is to identify the tone traits that are going to give life to your brand voice. Give ChatGPT clear direction so it doesn't sound like a robot or AI, it sounds like you. And remember, LLMs don't understand meaning, they predict. So it's up to us to provide the focus here. So remember, LLMs at their core are really just fancy text prediction engines that use statistical analysis and training to know how to put words together. As an example, if you pick up your mobile phone and go into your text messages and start a new message and type the word "the," your phone will predict a number of things you might want to say next. If you just keep hitting the first one, that's a lot like how an LLM works without the fancy vector databases and statistics. It's really just trying to predict what comes next based from a context and its training. LLMs, when they generate writing, it looks robotic, unemotional, uncreative, wordy, and use lots of telltale signs that it was AI generated. Now, the purpose of writing is to engage and inform, so we have to focus ChatGPT to produce content we can actually use. The good thing is this really doesn't take that much time. So ideally, you have a couple of writing samples that you can use. I'm going to give it a prompt that says, I've uploaded information about our company, our ideal customers, and our personas. I want you to help me build a writing guide to inform the tone, style, and content of a custom GPT so that the GPT produces content that'll align with the problems we solve, who we solve them for, and how they want to read about this information. Please analyze. Well, the purpose of this prompt chain is to start focusing it in on delivering a document that will guide a GPT to write like we want. So I'm going to use, the technique I'm using here is to sort of narrow in with ChatGPT to get it to focus more and more along the lines that I need it to. So let's see what it came up with. So let's look at the analysis. The key analysis is basically a summary of what we've provided before. This looks pretty good, so let's get down to the writing guide. Voice and tone. The tone should be confident, clear, and professional with just enough enthusiasm. This is a good point because unrestrained, ChatGPT can go a little nuts in being effusive and emotional and enthusiastic. These are ways that don't sound great to a business reader, so we want to head that off at the pass. Voice, practical and insightful, sounding like a trusted operator, not a hype machine. Love that. Complexity, medium technical, assumes reader is familiar with AI basics but not a developer. That looks good. Emotion, empathetic towards user frustration, optimistic about outcomes. Keywords, those look pretty good. Formatting style with short to medium paragraphs, use spacing for scannability. Love that. Bullets, used for pain points. Use cases, features, descriptive headers. This all looks pretty good. Now we get into message priorities. This basically summarizes what each of our sales cycle participants cares about, so that's great. Key themes. These look good from what we've worked through before. From idea to deployment in under an hour. I like that for sure. And then scan through the do's and don'ts. You can see those are pretty good. Now let's keep refining this. So it's offering some help here, but I wanted to think about web copy that speaks to this audience. Focus on clarity, outcomes, and how our company simplifies the problems of our ICP and the personas in these companies. What tone, structure, and messaging will resonate the most? So now we're asking it to refocus more about how we would write web copy for this audience. And remember, the sales cycle consists of at least 3 people. One who really wants your stuff, one who's going to make the decision, and one who doesn't want it either for cost or other reasons. So it's important we keep these personas in mind when we're writing about our product, because those personas are going to be present in the sales cycle. And the more we can educate and influence them, the more likely they are to do what we want, which is buy our product. So here's some sections. I like this. We may use this later to build out the website. Now we're going to paste in a prompt that says, I want you to build a detailed prompt to use ChatGPT to write in this way. Derive a brand voice and refine. I find by asking it for a prompt, it usually will contain the information I might not have thought of to help the prompt deliver more of what we want. Now notice here, it seems to have lost the plot a little bit, and this happens from time to time with ChatGPT. It should be giving me information inside of this text box, but what it's giving me is markdown information in some weird little prompt. This is okay, but it's not the best. However, we're not ready to download this information, so we're going to go ahead and skip past this. I've left it in the video so you can see kind of what happens from time to time with ChatGPT and what to do about it. In this case, you can tell it to regenerate, provide a different format, or just ignore the fact it's freaking out for a second. So we're just going to ignore it. Now what I want it to do is think about the telltale signs of AI written copy. And so by asking it to refine up until this point, it's building a tighter and tighter ball of information. I could ask for all of this up front, but then if it started to drift into a certain area I didn't want it to, it would be much harder to steer. By using this guided prompt chain approach, you end up more focused towards the goal that you want to. So let's look at what it says here. So common signs of AI written copy. See if you can identify with these. Generic intros and conclusion. Yes, that's exactly right. So it does like to start with a bunch of garbage that doesn't actually help. In journalism class, they teach you don't bury the lead. Well, the opposite of that is throwing in a bunch of weird phrases at the beginning. Filler words are a thing with LLMs. What they do is predict text, and often you have to tell it to dial it down a bit. Repetitive sentence structure. Yes, this is also a thing. By varying the length of sentences, short versus long, you end up with more interesting copy. If it's all the same length, it tends to feel monotonous. So this is great. Buzzword overload. Yes, this is awesome. I'm glad it's picked up on this. If it didn't, I would add it in there. Because once again, all the blah, blah, blah words don't really add up to value. Lack of specificity. This can happen if you aren't careful in guiding the AI and what to write about. Remember, it will give you a word count. It just may not give you the substance you're looking for. Transition phrases, over-explaining or redundancy, unnatural enthusiasm or hype, absolutely. We certainly don't want this for our B2B business. Odd phrasing or uncommon word pairings, that's pretty good. So let's leave this in just as it stands. And now I'm going to paste in a final prompt. And this one's a little bit longer, but this will produce our end work product. So the prompt is going to be, use the information we've discussed, including our company positioning, ideal customer profile, key buyer personas, and brand tone to create a brand voice guidelines document for a custom GPT. Note, we're giving it the focus that this is for a GPT. The GPT will be used to write persuasive, high-converting web copy for our company. The goal is to ensure the AI consistently writes like a skilled native English-speaking copywriter who understands our buyers, business challenges, and how to communicate clearly and confidently. Include the following in the brand voice guidelines: audience and buyer personas, tone of voice, writing style rules, anti-AI writing filters, content prioritization, and copy structure suggestions. Additionally, make sure to add these elements. And these are my personal preferences. Feel free to copy or make your own. Use upper middle school reading level. I prefer this reading level because If you don't constrain it to this, it uses a whole lot of big words, which makes for very cumbersome reading. I know my audience for B2B is a bit older than upper middle school, but it doesn't mean they want to read PhD level words. Another preference of mine, never use emojis or em dashes. To me, this is a telltale sign of AI written copy, is lots of emojis, lots of em dashes. I have no idea why it likes to do this. In fact, emojis feel like a scourge on GPT content, but if you like them, leave that in. And then my last preference says, when it's unclear, ask for which format we might like to copy, like for modular web blocks, email sequences, product release documents, or some other format, because sometimes the format drives what we do. So our brand voice guidelines are ready to download. Let's take a quick look at those. Notice the section for tone of voice, write with clarity, authority, and empathy. Clear and direct, not vague or fluffy. Respectfully persuasive, not salesy or hype-driven. This sounds really good. Also future-focused and optimistic, but grounded in real value. This is exactly what we want. Writing style rules, favor active voice over passive. Love that. Stick to an upper middle school reading level. See, it incorporated my preference in there. Never use emojis or em dashes. Now keep in mind, for some reason, it'll forget that I said this, and then it'll start putting emojis back into stuff. Like I said, it just can't help itself. Usually you can remind it to quit or knock it off, and it'll remember that. But put a pin in that. You'll see it in this course. Anti-AI writing filters. Yes, this is good. I like that a lot. Content prioritization. So I feel like this is going to be a pretty good grounding for what we need. Let's go ahead and save this document. And now we have our 3 documents we need to build out our custom GPT. So coming up in Module 6, what we're going to do is build a custom GPT inside of ChatGPT. We'll give it a name, a purpose, and jobs to do. We'll give it instructions that reflect our tone, brand, and audience. And then we're going to feed the GPT real context and have it produce content we can actually use right now. So see you in the next module. By the way, you're going to need your paid version of ChatGPT for this if you haven't gotten it already, because some of the features we use just aren't for free. But I guarantee you'll enjoy this.